you know, I'm to say slightly overwhelmed. That slightly overwhelmed is a term that just doesn't work. I'm not slightly over. I'm humbled by all of you here early this morning to listen to an old lady talk. Chronologically, I am moving into eldership. So as we talk today about time, this is an interesting time for me because I will be 70 years old in about a year and a couple of months. And so at that juncture, I'm now thinking about so many things about what the next phase is going to be. And it's really stupid when I think about it because my whole life has been about dancing. So why am I suddenly worried about that? I'm worried about it because the society we live in puts restrictions on us and says that when you turn 50, you're supposed to feel a certain kind of way. When you turn 60, you feel a certain way. When you turn 70, it's like, oh, Lord, let me get the rocking chair. And then 80, 90, you're supposed to be in a home someplace. Well, that ain't going to happen to me. At least we don't know what's going to happen to me. But until whatever's going to happen to me, time is something that I treasure and honor. And so the time starts from the minute I wake up in the morning. I wake up in the morning and I go, eh, 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 eh. That's enough to scare all the demons away. Now, you are going to participate with me. Okay? So, we're going to do the early morning Ferne wake up. I officially bestow this on you. So all your neighbors can kick you out of your apartments because you're making far too much noise, okay? So I want you to repeat after me. Ba-da-da-da-ba-da, ba-dum, ba-dum. Ba-da-da-da-ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Ba-da-da-da-ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Now, check this out. I'm going to start, and you're going to go, and then you just keep going with that little break. So you're going to do ba-da-da-da-ba-dum, ba-dum, 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 ba-da-da-da-ba-dum, ba-dum, 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 ba-da-da-da-ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-da-da-da-ba-dum, ba-dum, 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 ba-da-da-da-ba-dum, ba-dum, 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 ba-da-da-da-ba-dum, ba-dum, 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 ba-da-da-da-ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Okay, stop. So this group is going to go first, and this group's going to go second. And we're going to get this little hum. You'll soon feel the humming that's going on there. And that's where the time resides, and that's where peace resides. Yes? Yes. Okay? So this group starts. 7, 8. Give me the ba-da-da. Get your bodies going. Get ready. Ba-da-da-da, ba-dum, 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 ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, keep going. Ba-da-da-da, ba-dum, 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 ba-da-da-da, ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. yourselves a hand. Okay, that was fun. Okay, that was fun. Daniel, we have to figure out some movement for that now.
Yeah, we do.
We do. So if dance is what happens in between the steps, this has been my philosophy of teaching dance for 40 years. When does life happen? It's a question. So if dance is what happens in between the steps, because really that is where it is. It's the moment where the dancer jumps or a step happens. It's the breath moment. It's the transition is really what I'm talking about. Is the dance is what happens in the transitional steps. The landing, take off, yes. But that moment when the dancer is completely in transition to the next thing, where the breath happens, that's where the spirit resides. So if that's true, what I believe is that life is what happens inside of those breath moments, okay? So if we can reach a point in our lives where we actually surrender to the breath, surrender to the transition, it does make life a little easier. There are a couple of you here, and here's one in here, I always refer to her as Sunshine. Because every time I see Melissa, you know, she's always smiling. And then one day she wasn't. And it was a horrible day for me when I saw her, because it was like, the sun has gone. And we held each other, cried, and it was like, girl, you can never let go of that sunshine, even when it's a cloudy day. Yes? It's the breath. It's the breath. So we're talking about time. I started off as a child, obviously not an adult. Actually, I started off. What can I say? I started off as a very old woman. And I am now going back into becoming that child. And I think that's the way it should be. In many African cultures, when a child is born, they don't give the name away right away. Many cultures in the world, they wait for the child to demonstrate which ancestor is in them. And I think that's so amazing, because it is an old spirit. You know, you've looked at babies and you just know they're very old spirits. And then we ruin them going through our human cycle. We ruined them. So I started off as an old woman in Sierra Leone, and during the colonial time, where everybody around me was black, but then there were these few white Europeans, British, who walked around and drove around in very expensive cars with chauffeurs. And I didn't understand the dynamics, but I knew that they were important in that somehow they controlled what was going on. But we were able to, because we were the majority in Sierra Leone, to still live a quality life that was rich in culture. Ashwebi was a time when a woman was getting married, when she and her girlfriends would all dress in the same outfit, and they go from house to house to house and just party for days. You know, Ashwebi. I have a memory of an aunt who was as my height, seemed very, very tall to me. And then I realized later it wasn't that she was tall, it was what she always had on. She never wore Western clothes. She always had on these great Agbada robes. And I didn't think she had feet, because everywhere she went, she just kind of was gliding around. And she had these great big turbans on her head, and that's how she dressed to go to the market. That's how she dressed to go to the bathroom. That's how she dressed. Everywhere she went, that's how she dressed. And I thought, my God, look at that. You know, so those images have stayed with me for a very long time. And my father was a principal at Fort Bay College, was one of the oldest colleges, so I was also a college brat, and also had a chance to see him as a politician / educator. He met my mother at the University of Chicago. And I want to talk to you just a little bit about time, how time, and if you pay attention, how things can work, is that he was a student here in the United States, the University of Chicago. And he was a jet black, ebony, beautiful black looking man. You know, I'm talking about the time when, you know, black was not considered beautiful. Y'all silent right now. But y'all know what I'm talking about, right? He was jet tar black with white teeth. Scared the hell out of you. Beautiful man. He was here in the United States and he met my mama. And my mama was African American. And her mama was African American / Native American. She could pass for white. And she had 3 children. And when she would travel up north, she would take my aunt, the eldest one, who was a little lighter than me, and they would travel first class because she passed for white and my aunt played her maid. Horrific story. Because my aunt was completely screwed up for the rest of her life behind that experience. Yes? That totally confused her. All right? So I'm just giving you a little bit of insight. So I want to go back to my grandparents on my mother's side, who when we would come here to visit, would constantly try to fix my nose. This is what she would do to me all the time. Because my nose was too African and too flat. Right? Check that out. Can you imagine somebody doing that to you all the time? Just can you imagine? Right? So I grew up not thinking that I had the right kind of features. Yes? And then that was during the 40s and the 50s where black women spent enormous amounts of money, and today now it's wigs and weave, but back then it was with the hot comb, right? Burn marks on the neck, burn marks on the ears, scabs all around here, just to look like white women, because that was acceptable. Turn on the news today and look at all of the black women who deliver the news to you in the stations here in Wisconsin. Do you see anybody with natural hair? They can't get a job in the media with natural hair. The first thing a black woman has to do if she wants to get a job and be successful, she has to go in the commercial world and straighten her hair out. In 2015, okay, so I don't have all day, so. They have no idea, because they told me, we want you to come talk, and I said, great, how long do I have? They said 20 minutes, I said, huh? Okay. She does not know her beauty. She thinks her brown body has no glory. If she could dance naked under palm trees and see her image in the river, she would know. But there are no palm trees on the street, and dishwater gives back no images. This is a poem that was written in 1973 by William Warren Cooney, an African-American artist. So time, dance is what happens in between the steps. Time, breaths. So fast forward to getting an opportunity to go study in Tanzania in East Africa. And there I lived about, well, I could look out from my bedroom window and I could see Mount Kilimanjaro for 3 months. Got to hang out with the Maasai, an endangered species. And when I use the word endangered species, we always think about animals, which is very, very bourgeois of us, elitist of us. Because when I think of endangered species, I think about young black boys in 2015. Because here's my question. If I'm 15 years old, yes, I have a gun in my hand, and yes, I'm high and I'm acting crazy, do I still need to be shot 16 times? That's my question. When the hunters go hunting, for deer, how many bullets do they use to bring the deer down? When they go hunting for an elephant, how many bullets do they use to bring the elephant down? How many bullets do they use to take a young black man down? Don't they go to practice range? Don't they know how to shoot below the knee? They got to shoot a young black man 16 times? Think about it. So this time, this other period of time that we're in, nothing has really changed. We think it has, because we have all the luxuries of the world we live in today. But if we really look out and see what's really happening today, what's really going on? What's really going on? So as I step into this other time period now, going into my adolescence and then into childhood, I'm thinking about what my role is going to be, okay? Because I've spent time in higher university in the dance studios, and we create and we work with dancers and we work with artists. But now I got to figure out, you know, there's so many things to be involved in. So that's the phase I'm in right now. I don't know where it takes me, but I do know that I trust time. I do know that I trust time, and I do know that I also trust time, and I trust space, and I trust breath. So here's some words that are floating around in my head, and I have to figure out how to put them together. Triangulation, colonization, subjugation, penetration, elimination, strangulation, vaporization, segregation, separation, isolation, gentrification, stratification, annihilation, assimilation. What do I think we need? Re-education, realization, beautification, fortification, and transformation. When you throw away your past, when you throw away your ancestors, when you throw away your culture, you doom future generations into a state of throwaways. Chameleon-like behaviors, constantly shifting, sulking, and slithering in a cultural soup of someone else's fantasies, reaching in slime-ridden innuendo and cultural inferiority. Future generations will have no fame. Epitaphs will all be gone. Icons will blow up into irrelevant somethings. And philosophers' words, our writers and poets, our dancers and musicians, will become trivialized into irrelevant sound bites, a race of throwaways. So here's my statement to you today. I am a dancer, poet, and people ask me, well, again, this time, they say, well, you're retiring, what you gonna do? And why are you retiring so early? And the second question is, which I will address, I'm retiring early not because I'm tired. Well, that's a lie. Yes, I'm tired, but what am I tired of? I am tired of bureaucrats. I am tired of blue suits and ties who have interjected themselves into the teaching of children. I am tired of bureaucrats and politicians who have inserted themselves through their political quest for presidency into the teaching and intellectual stimulation of young people's minds. Because I am an employee of the state through my employment at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, I feel muzzled, okay? Because there's certain things I cannot say. But heaven forbid, May 22nd, 2015, when I intend to become very, very vocal, okay? Because, yes, because I believe that now that I am now stepping into the world of an elder, that I will demand to be heard. There is an organization, a national organization of grandmothers. I don't know if you've heard about this. Yes, you can Google it. And these grandmothers, I'm going to join them. And these grandmothers it's an international entity, and they have decided to become very political. And so that's one of the directions I'm going to go. Because what is happening today if you look at the school system and you look at what's happening with students coming into the university system, and you look at the attacks that are happening in terms of budget cuts at the university, I have to ask, are we going back into a time where only the elite will actually get an education? Okay? Because if you look what's happening today, just walk into the public school system and see, and it's a disaster. I'm not saying all public schools are a disaster. I'm saying there's a lot of very important teachers that are hanging on there trying to get work done, and principals that are doing amazing things. But it is not enough. It's definitely not enough. When we pay teachers what we pay them, it is bizarre. Okay? So that's the other direction that I plan on going. So let me leave this with you, and then I'm hoping we'll have some things to talk about. Masters of games, masters of subterfuge and semantics, masters of political correctness or lack of, manipulation as sport, seeing each other's cultures as mountains to conquer, not mountains to grow into and discover, seeing only the tops of each other's mountains, not the sides. For it is on the sides of mountains where things actually grow lush and fertile. It isn't our titles or our fancy things we own or where we reside, but on the sides of our everyday mountains of communications. It is here that we need to learn each other, where we need to hum and sing with each other. As our relationships become more intimate, the air can seem thinner, stepping over unturned and or need to be turned stones of each other. Maybe one day we will all climb to the highest elevations of our minds, reaching new levels of human understanding and perception, finally reaching the highest summit of our understanding and love for each other. So we're going to go back to our hum. Do I have time? Okay. Do you remember it? Ba-da-da-da-ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Ba-da-da-ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Ba-da-da-da-ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Ba-da-da-da-ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. This group. Thank you.